Hi, and welcome to Educationally Rewired podcast. I am your host, Dr. Deidria Stevens, and joining us soon will be our other host, Zandra Webb. Thanks for tuning in. All right. What's happening in today's news, Miss Webb?
Well, I can tell you what's happening right now. Everybody is got this big to do about accountability ratings. Those accountability ratings came out, and I guess my question is, are they real? Are they valid? Does it mean anything? I mean, what do you think?
So, only speaking for the state of Texas,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
can't speak for other states because they may have um, accountability measures or domains that counted or didn't count or made some kind of exception for this year. But I know Texas made exceptions for this year, right? So
So,
part of those exceptions has to do with the election year. No one wants to talk about this part, but I am going to talk about it because it's mighty funny how we always get an exception during election years.
wow.
That's just me. Now, I do understand that we've also experienced multiple years of the pandemic, damage from that, right? So we are recovering from the pandemic. But even before the pandemic, election years, kind of, everything was smooth. Like
Right.
I've gotten some great accolades during election years. Okay.
Right. Right.
I think the other part is the exceptions that have been given. So I shout out to Marlin ISD.
Woo woo.
Okay. Shout out to, I was looking at a school in Frisco,
Okay.
ISD. I think the name of it was Anderson Elementary School, if I'm not mistaken.
Come through.
Don't quote me,
Okay.
but they had pure data. What do I mean by pure data? There are no not rated portions of their data when you look at their data. Everything is pure.
Gotcha.
They earned every category outright. And so far, Marlin ISD, and I'm sure there are others I just know about Marlin ISD, right? So
Right.
far that's the only district really. And I know there are some more, okay?
Right.
But when I looked at data for some of the other districts within the Texas area, they have pure data.
Yep.
So they have no not rated. So I see a lot of people taking pictures and shaking hands and getting awards.
Uh-huh.
And when I go look at their data, there are some areas that have been rated not rate or that have not been rated.
Hmm.
I
So
mean,
they,
I don't
they
know. What are your thoughts?
so are they just like, you know, that makes me wonder because you may have those couple of schools that aren't doing so hot, and what are you doing to address that? I mean, I know it's one thing to look at your overall district rating, but how are you supporting those schools that really were not rated or which would kind of be unacceptable any other time? But I know that we try to give a lot of leeway for the pandemic, but I mean, how are you supporting them in real life? Are we just leaving them out there to say, well, look, oh, that's the Fall Guy School? Or are we truly going in there and saying, all right, they clearly need some help. They need more help than we gave them, because if we do the same thing, we're going to get the same results. Um, what are they doing for that? And will the accountability be a little stiffer next year? And how is that school going to fare during that time? So I'm just wondering, have they done anything differently? Are they going to change, or are we going to get the same results, or is it going to look even worse next year? That's those are my questions.
You know, having worked in school improvement for multiple years, 2 decades, might I add.
Yeah.
Um, I really believe that, or I have come to understand, your magic sauce, as they say, is time or number of people, definitely skill, right? So if you don't have the time, you need to increase the number of people. If you don't have the number of people, then you're gonna have to maximize on your time, right? So honestly, um, and when I was in schools, I did not see it this way because I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. I was trying to, get accolades for myself so that I could be a principal or advance, right? So to see someone come in and try to help me, I really was not as accepting of the help. But
Mm.
now that I'm on this side of things, I in reflection, I see how, and now that I value, right? My value, what I value is different
Okay.
now. Now I understand. Before, the goal was career, maximize career, get at the top, let's go, that's what on my grind every day for that. And now I see how ridiculous, it's so ridiculous. So, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, like who wants to do that?
This is why. And my aunt asked me this question one day. She said, if you drop dead tomorrow,
Mm.
who's going to, are they going to stop, or will they have someone to take your place?
Ooh.
And that thing stuck with me because they will have somebody else to take my place. No matter how much they say they value me,
Right.
they cannot stop for me.
Right.
So I decided, when it comes to my life, I'm not stopping for them. The video I'm actually going to record when I get off here for tomorrow morning. Um, and if you're watching this replay, you can go look on my LinkedIn page and probably Twitter, maybe Facebook and TikTok. I may put it on there. But the job needs your skill. It doesn't need your life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
So now, in reflection, if I went back and I was principal again or something, which God forbid, never.
Oh
Okay.
God, no.
Um, I would only give you my skill within the time that I've allotted for you. You would not, no one is having my life again. No one. The value, what I value now is time. I value being able to spend time with my friends, being able to spend time with my family, being able to travel, being able to have fun, period. Like,
Period.
life is already, it can't be that serious because I can't get out of here without dying. So might as well
Wow.
have fun.
Might as well. Now that's real because I know a big deal for me has always been just duplicating myself and making sure that others have the skills that I don't just keep it in a bottle because like you said, you can be replaced tomorrow. And I would certainly hate for the legacy that I plan to leave somewhere to just disappear because well, I didn't help bring anybody else up along the way. And so everything I've done, I've made someone else's life harder in essence. And I've done a disservice to those children because they're going to miss out on that greatness. Of course, you can only give some people what they're going to absorb, but at least attempt to duplicate myself wherever I am. That's
Mm, is it now?
it's a great segue.
Tell the viewers what they want.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to talk about today. I ain't cut out for this. Ill equipped to equip. Hmm. Mm. Mm. Wow. That can go so many
I
different
feel
ways.
like grabbing the mic and breathing hard like they
Right.
do at church.
I just want to drop it. I just want to drop it.
Go in.
Yes. Like, we just putting anybody in front of our babies right now.
Do they have
And
a choice though?
no. I
They
mean,
don't.
there are slim pickings right now. I
Yeah,
mean, if
and it's slim pickings is not even that's not even the appropriate description. There are
yeah,
no teachers.
there are not. And I my last appointment as as a principal, that was pre-pandemic and I was short. So imagine now, after the pandemic, people had to deal with all of this and they were like, oh no, I can do something else, make decent money. I can go home and start weaving baskets and selling them and be better off. So the teachers are not there. They all started their own businesses.
I think there's like a silent protest. I
Yeah,
don't know how silent it
I don't
is,
think it was
but
silent.
I do think that I think that there are people who are voicing, you know, their opinion, but I also think that there's like this quiet I think you talked about or maybe our sometimes guest talked about it last week. Um silent exiters or something, I can't remember, where
There you
you're not saying anything, but you just check out,
Yes.
you know, they go fishing. And I think that you have some people who are gone, but then you have other people who have gone fishing. And
Yes.
meaning their body is still in the school, their mind is totally gone, you know? So there are no teachers.
There are not. I mean, and when I was consulting with lots of different schools during the pandemic, I mean, in some cases I see why. I see why from the teacher's perspective. I also see the admin perspective, of course.
Mhm.
Everyone was doing whatever they could do to survive during that time. Nobody knew anything about a pandemic. Nobody was prepared for that. That was not in our preschool training. We didn't learn that, and that certainly wasn't in any of our pedagogy classes. So,
Did we not like this keeps coming up, right? So
mhm,
I have established myself as the voice for for high needs schools, okay?
my God,
So going through the pandemic for us, I feel while it was more challenging, we have been in a pandemic. I
we
felt like we invited other schools to our party. Like we've been doing this.
well, okay. So when I say I get that, I do get that because I dealt with a lot of those challenges as well. When I say that, it's the shift to, and I have two sides on this. The
Mhm.
shift to putting everything on technology that, because they weren't used to that, and some teachers weren't accustomed to having to flip their classroom in a sense. But now the other side of that is, how many times have we told y'all to incorporate technology, make sure you're using it, give you all this training, and you're like, okay, I'm not doing that. I'm going to flat foot teach. And then now you can't flat foot teach because you had to go virtual. So that's what I see, two sides of it. If I was one of those people who were like, okay, like I'm not into technology, this and then that, not excused, I probably
Mhm.
would have ran too. Or if I was part of the older generation of teachers that probably should have retired anyway,
Yeah.
but they were still hanging in there because they just love it and they don't really know anything about all these computers and all this technology stuff. So I understand that too. I would have ran, I would have found something else to do, whether I was somebody's nanny, babysitter, tutor, basket weaver, anything like that. I would have done it rather than stay in the classroom under those conditions. Now, if I
Okay.
was a techie person, anyways, I mean, that was just another day at the farm. Let's go. Let's go.
All right. Can we pause for a moment? I think my eyelash is coming off.
I saw it.
Did you see it?
I see you
Like
playing with it.
how long has it been this way? Like okay, I'll be right back. This
First of all, it's not healthy. And what federal guideline is saying that mess is going to feed our children?
Michelle Obama. I'm sorry, and I love her.
Michelle.
And I love her.
Michelle better do some
Madam Michelle. Let's put some respect on her name. I got her in my phone. Look, you think I'm lying?
Call
Call
her.
her.
Call her. Let's talk about this.
Look, man, we both said the
What
same
did it
time.
say? What did it say? What
Press
did
call.
it say?
Michelle
Pressing
Obama.
messages. You can text.
Michelle Obama. I got her under favorites. I got her listed. I have Oprah Winfrey's listed. Bishop Jakes is under there.
How
Mhm.
many have responded to you?
Girl, they don't even have real numbers. Like,
But they're in her faves. I love this.
See, that's what people
I added some numbers so I can add them to my favorites.
do that.
Lost my run the show. Hold on.
Okay. Let's
All
talk
right.
about. So, the name of our show today is I Ain't Cut Out for This, Ill Equipped to Equip. What does it mean? So, from a campus district admin perspective, what does it mean?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with, some of the things that we've been saying as far as there's a shortage and they have got to put a warm body there. We can't leave students unsupervised. We can't leave students unattended, but we want to have the highest quality. And you start thinking of those leadership positions, we would love to have the highest quality. But right now there's just no one to put in those seats. So we're having, and I'm saying we're like I'm still there, but I feel their pain because you do the best of just going through these applications, and it's some of everybody applying. I mean, people don't even try to look at the qualifications, but then you start going, maybe I could work with that, because you don't have people in those positions. So I understand, and it's unfortunate, and it for our students, but there's just nobody out there.
Well, I was asked this question last week when I was talking about some of the requirements that I needed to do for our business and in an effort to expand. The person I was talking to, I was sharing with them some of the challenges that I was facing. And they asked me a really good question. The question was, okay, what is the way forward? And first, I was mad that they asked me that question. I was like, don't ask me what's the way forward. But it was a legitimate question. And I even told the person, um, this is a question I need to incorporate in my coaching and support because as educators, we always have something is always not right. Right. And I feel like in this particular instance, or as it relates to we don't have enough people, we have all of these subs, yada yada yada. At this point, we just have to train the warm body that we have.
Right.
So when we talk about being ill equipped, I don't necessarily look at the warm body, whether or not there is a warm body. I immediately look at or look for where is the instructional leader so that we can identify the way forward, right? Because just because you're a principal does not mean you are an instructional leader.
Mm.
And an instructional leader is what's needed in right now. It's what's needed anyway. It actually is the difference between a high performing campus and a regular campus. If you go to a high performing campus, you will find an instructional leader leading that pathway. When you go to all these other campuses, to me, it's common sense, but I understand that you and I have been gifted in this area of instructional leadership. So we're able to quickly identify the areas that are wrong and create solutions to make it right.
Right.
But our leaders that we have now, I'm sorry to say, they need help in this area. They are not necessarily instructional leaders, even though they have the title. And it's like I told you, I think it was last night or the night before. everyone is an educator, right? That's in the profession, but every educator ain't skilled, and inappropriate language intended.
That's facts. That is really fact, because I mean, you have to just get in there and make something of the situation that you have. And
Yeah.
that's just being solution oriented.
Yeah.
You know, these are the bodies you have. So, okay, let me help you do the best that we can do for those students. I mean, it's a disservice for me to get quote unquote warm body in there and then just let these kids run amok, because we're still responsible for educating them. They're still responsible for that content. So we have to find creative ways to make sure that they get that content one way or the other. And I can tell you, I've done pretty much all of it. I feel like I've done it all, from going in there, modeling the teaching, getting some online coursework to help facilitate that, bringing in tutors, bringing in a service of consultants to help. I mean, calling on central admin, all of the above. But it takes that right
It takes
now.
that.
Right now, this is what we have to
It
do.
takes that. So the same resistance that you may have had to incorporating outside help cannot be the same resistance now, or you'll be just as tired, if not more tired now, right? So you really do need us. Like, this is the reign of edupreneurs because you need more hands, right? So that you don't have to spend all this time on your campus. So from a campus district admin perspective, my take is there needs to be an increase, and you will hear me say instructional leadership all the time, because I understand that to be the remedy. As much as we try to ignore it, and you can hire your ace and your brother and your sorority sister and your fraternity brother and your um the guy you went to college with, or your cousins, your neighbor's son. Like, you can keep hiring according to that. And I'm not saying that, because I understand that it is easier to work with people that you know. I'm sorry. And HR might say something, but it is
Right.
easier to work with people that you know. But in this profession, instructional leadership is required. So if you're going to hire them without instructional leadership, then you are silently taking on the responsibility of teaching them how to lead instructionally. And that's not just delegating all the work. Like,
Absolutely.
that reign of leadership is over.
Yes, it is.
You can continue to delegate every part and write people up 50,000 times if you want to.
Right.
But right now, you don't even have choices to be able to fill those spots when you let them go. So you might as well learn the job. You are
And
not.
this
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, and this is not just for the principals, but assistant principals as well. We have
Assistant principals,
yeah,
yeah.
we've become
Instructional coaches.
they should be, because we have gotten so accustomed to hiring APs for the books, butts, buses, and they become high paid clerks, really, and disciplinarians, but they have to have the background in the instruction. They have to be an instructional leader as well, because we put them over a department and then we say just manage that department. No, we need you to do more than manage that
You
department.
have to study, right?
Yes.
It's all kinds of stuff. If the nation knew what really happened in these schools, they would be ashamed to have all these press conferences talking about crazy stuff. They would be ashamed, because
Right.
there are so many things happening during the day that no one wants to really talk about. One day I'm sitting around here on a fire chat and really tell you, I mean, I have experienced some
Right.
unbelievable things, like traumatic. Okay.
Very
Very
conversation
traumatic.
where I can't unhear that. I can't unhear.
I can't unsee some of the things that I'm seeing.
Oh my gosh. Be the principal that has to identify some humans in videos that are not so, pleasant.
And not kids. let's go. Anyway, uh yeah. All right, let's talk about that teacher perspective. What does
Ooh,
that look like? Like ill-equipped. I honestly, do they even have a choice?
well, I don't think that they do have a lot of choice. But the teacher perspective, you know, when I think about that, there's a couple sides to that too. I always have more than one side. There's a side that I'm not being provided from my district the support and the professional development that I need to grow. The other side of that is why am I not seeking that out? If I want to grow because I want to be good at what I do. I want to perfect my craft. So if it's not being provided by my school district, there are so many things that you can do even for free. Even if you just with your I know here in Texas, your regions, if you look into your service centers, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is included because you're within that region. There are
Mhm.
things, there's webinars now. We
Yeah.
are big on that now. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll get on there. There are things you can do to perfect your craft. So the teacher perspective, if you're ill-equipped, I don't know if you really can just blame someone in 2022. Maybe some years ago in 2022, I don't think you can blame that.
No. If you're it's like I said before, right? This is a job that you have to study in. Like you cannot just learn. Okay, example. When I was learning to teach, two of my aunts were teachers. They both retired from being teachers. Okay. My One of my aunts shared with me when I first started 2 decades ago that I should take, lesson plans, and you just have to do them for a year. And then from there, like keep it in a notebook. And then the next year, you're doing the same lesson plans. Well, this was before the reign of data, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when she was teaching, that worked for her.
Right.
As I started teaching, it didn't work for me because now my generation of teachers were being introduced to and taught data.
Yes.
So now I have to measure these lesson plans, and how well my kids are doing. They're not all that great, on this particular lesson. So now I got to go back and figure out how to make this work, right? They taught us to be researchers basically.
Yes.
Okay, scientists.
Yes.
Okay. So you can't come into this position. It's like you said, if you're ill-equipped at this point, you just want to be. You have online classes, you have professional development galore, whether the district offers it or not. There's professional development galore.
Yes.
And I think we just need to own up. If you are ill-equipped at this point, I think you should just own up and say you just don't want to do that.
Right. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that because I just can't see myself not wanting to know new things. I mean, that's just kind of part of my heart of as an educator. I always want to know new things. If they were sending somebody to a conference, I'll go because I
You
wanted to
were you were excited about going?
I was. I wanted to know things. I mean, I wanted to travel too, but I wanted to
Look,
know things.
I didn't get excited about going until I knew I was about to start my own thing, and then I was like, "Mhm, I'm
Well,
going."
we were brainwashed into thinking we can't take a day off or we can't if we are not in our classrooms, our kids will never learn. But first of all, I left the best plans. And I if I had to, I would video myself. I'd make sure the kids had something to reinforce a skill. I just know that
Mhm,
I'm gonna have to bundle what I teach on another day.
mhm,
So I wasn't even worried about that day or days that I was gonna be gone to do some professional development or go to a conference. And I love just learning new things. Some of the stuff I didn't even teach, but like I went to the IB conference and I was learning, about said, I might teach it one day. I might teach one of the IB classes because that's what was offered in my district. And I was like, okay, well, I want to go. I want to learn about it. So I went. Of course, that was the conference. I fell down the stairs and ended up in the hospital and all that good stuff too. But things happen. So, but anyhow, I got so much professional development. It was out there and it was offered. I mean, nobody wanted to go because I just don't ever want to be trapped in a place where I can't leave my students for a day or two
Mm.
to learn more. So it's out there. I guess my bigger concern, and maybe this floats in between the campus admin and the teacher perspective, is these people who are coming on without certifications and without, yeah, I'm going
That's
there,
so mean.
without certifications, and just not necessarily because a certification doesn't mean you're a great teacher, but the people coming in just fresh off the streets or fresh because they have military background or law enforcement background.
You know that's
They're,
happening, like New Mexico, I think. Well, I know it's happening in Florida.
yeah, and nothing against, because hey, I have two veteran children. I have a family full of veterans. You know, I too was raised by a vet. I have police officers all up and through my family. I respect their profession. And I respect their profession enough to not apply because I do not have the training, the mindset, the skill to do it.
Honestly, I feel sorry for them, and I put that in my article. If you're following Impact on LinkedIn, I actually did an article on this and incorporated the states that are thinking about or are using, military people. And one of the things that I expressed was that I felt sorry for them because this profession is very challenging for those of us who have certifications. And you're going to come in with no certification, no experience. I really do feel for you because you will definitely work harder than me. And
Yeah, that's facts.
you
I mean,
it's a hard job. I think people don't understand. Is it hard or time consuming?
I think it's both,
Okay.
because hard is because I think it's just hard on you mentally
Emotionally.
and
Yeah.
emotionally. Yes.
It
You have
is it's you have all of these children who are coming from varied backgrounds.
Mhm.
But the job, like I posted the other day, the job is learning.
Yes.
Okay. Do the job. The job is learning and whatever we need to do in order for the students to learn. I just spoke to a friend not too long ago and I shared that everybody, because we have so many different support systems on school campuses, everyone thinks the job is whatever support system they like. So if your support system, if you're heavily engrossed in athletics, you feel like the job is molding the kids, getting them ready for the real world and morals and values and being an athlete and discipline and, everything associated with that. That's what you think the job is, right? If you're heavily engrossed in career and technical education, you feel like the job is getting the children ready for the real world and they need to have certifications and they need to be able to leave school and have a job when they leave school.
Right.
What else does CTE?
Certifications, being career ready.
Being career ready, having multiple programs on the campus, and all of that STEAM, all of that is important to prepare the child for when they graduate. So, whatever area of education or when you're involved in support systems of education or the school building, you feel like whatever the goal is for that particular support is the job. But the reality is, all these things have been implemented so we can actually do the job, which is learning.
Yes.
That's what the job is.
So we have finally taken the emphasis off of teaching and put it on the learning, because your teaching is only as good as the learning. And I know teachers don't like to hear that, because they're like, man, I taught that.
No,
Well,
you
that's
gave a
not how we're measuring.
presentation.
Yes, right. And it wasn't a good one, clearly, because they don't have this. So, and that just goes back to, what we're saying about the old school teachers. I mean, they taught the same lesson plans over and over and over. But that's not what we need. We have to be able to look at the data and monitor and adjust based on the students that we have. So,
As always, listen, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you need to subscribe, because the rants and all those things that we do that is never on the show that we show you, all of that is on our YouTube channel. And we have lots of clips and stuff that probably would keep you entertained throughout the day. I know how it is to have so many things that happen throughout the day. And sometimes you just need a pick-me-up, honey. You just need something to make you laugh. And that's what we do.
We're here.
Or maybe you need an opener for your faculty meeting. Let's go.
Let's go.
To show them what to say or what not to say. Yeah, we do. Now, our next segment is looking at this same topic, but from a parent or student perspective. And
ooh,
while
I'm
we
ready.
were say what?
I'm ready. I'm
Well,
so ready.
While we were talking earlier, I thought about now parents are going to have to work harder, because we are not doing all that we were doing prior to the pandemic. I'm just sorry. Just because everyone has realized the value of having time. And so before the pandemic, it was like educators were hypnotized, So you already knew, right? What the guy, well, I can't remember his name. You already know. What's his name?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Big Frida. Big Frida, right?
Oh my gosh.
Girl, count on me to come up with something. But anyway.
Clearly.
So you already know, before the pandemic started, right? We were there early, we stayed late. Before school tutoring, after school tutoring, call you 3,000 times. We are trying our hardest to get you to almost force this information into the kid so that we can have the results that we need. I think right now where we are, I don't think people care about those results. And that could be just me. I think people are saying, look, this is how much time I'm going to give you. And then I have to go home to my own family. So the parents are going to have to step up, and they're going to have to do more.
So now let me be the other side of that.
Let's go.
Yes, let me be the parent who is tired of an ill-equipped teacher in front of my kid. If I get one more note home that says this teacher is not certified according to Texas Education Agency, I'm going to lose it.
But you only represent a sect of parent.
Well, and
you
right.
represent the group that cares.
Right.
And usually they are educators, right?
Right.
Or educated.
Yes.
So they understand the importance here. Or they have something in them that they want more for their kids. But the other group that look at us as a babysitting service, they didn't even read that letter that you sent. So they're not even aware.
They're not aware that the person until that report card comes home, or if it does, or we look at their grades and realize our kid is failing. Now we got our data. Now we even found this note crumpled up in the bottom of my kid's backpack, and we want to present this. This is why my kid don't know, because look at the teacher you put in front of them. Ma'am, they've had that teacher all semester. they've had that sub all semester, and your child has been struggling all semester. So now that it's midterms and your child has failed all of this and will be repeating this content, now you found the note crumpled up in the backpack.
Yeah.
So okay, I could go on there too.
You could go on and on.
But our students, there are students and parents out there who are saying, and I get it, the teachers are short, but in real life, how is my child going to get into Harvard? How is my child going to get into Purdue? How is my child going to get into Stanford if they are not being taught at the levels that they should be? Because if I'm being real, I know you can't do anything about their not being teachers, but I got to worry about my one.
Well, okay. Well, then that would be my response, would be to worry about your one. And so how can you worry about your one? In the same way that the school system is going to have to outsource for additional help because they don't have it. Parents and the home, they're going to have to outsource as well. Now, I have all the degrees associated with education. Okay. Every last one of them. Okay. I have all of them. Okay. And my bonus children, I cannot. I am taking the advice that I have given others. I refuse to tutor. I refuse. I am not going to sit there, and I am not going to punish myself. Okay. Right. Waiting for you to learn how to read. All right.
Say it louder.
I'm not punishing myself trying to figure out which. I'm not going to do it. But what I do have, I have $44 an hour. Yeah. I sure do. I have $44 to devote. Okay. Yes. So I can take $44 from something.
And
reroute it to a tutor, even if it's for 1 hour. 1 hour every week is better than no hours at home ever. Because when I taught math, I only asked my parents for 15 minutes a day. Boom. Let's go. 15 minutes a day. I need you to do A, B, C, and D. No problem. Right. Well, get a tutor for an hour. You done covered all your 15 minutes. We done. Okay.
Yes.
We're done. Now if you need multiple content areas, now that's on you. But
I will tell you, as a single mother, and I went through the time where I couldn't afford $44 an hour. That $44 would have been the difference between somebody eating or not. But there are so many other ways. Just
churches.
Yes. Just like how you all get together for football games.
Or Jordans.
Yes. Get your kids together in pods. Somebody in the group has got it together.
Somebody does.
Somebody. And have your kids work together. You have so many resources right in your community. The kids get off the bus together. They do everything else. They have sleepovers. They have parties. But do they ever get together and study together or work together? And say, okay, this is your strength. This is your strength. And plan that out even before things get started in the school year. Like I've
seen some apartment complexes.
Yes. Learning
that have offered services.
Yes. There's so much. Utilize your community. There's a kid in like you say, if you're an apartment complex, there's a high school, say you have elementary kids, there's a high schooler that could use a couple of dollars. You may not have 44 an hour, but you may have 5, like, hey, I'm gonna make sure you have this and this, or I can pay you once, there's so many different things you can do.
I don't think my approach would be different from what I just told you about the teachers. What I hear admin saying now, I think before the pandemic, they would tap into the teacher ed programs and get tutors from there or partner with those programs. But now they're saying, well, there aren't that many people going to school to be a teacher, so we don't have candidates, we don't have people that we can partner with. But you still have people going to school to be engineers.
This is true.
They understand math. And you know what? They may need volunteer hours. So I would partner then with the engineering department. Let's go. Think outside the box, guys. Doesn't have to be mathematics, it can be
Right.
engineering. You need science. Science is everywhere on a campus now, you know. English, come on. Guess what? Maybe you can't get tutors in English from a university, but can you get it from the theater department? I'm too good for me.
Right.
I'm too good for me.
I
You
think
know why
about
I said the theater department?
yes.
Because the theater majors have to take English classes,
Yes.
and they have to be proficient in those areas in
Yes.
reading and writing English, ELAR, like
Yes.
English language arts and reading.
They do. And I'm okay. And now it escapes me, of course, when I need to say it. I forgot what engineering company that's pretty major in our area, and they have Fridays off. Um, why wouldn't you get them to
Who
come?
has Fridays? Who is it? Is it
Oh gosh,
Lockheed?
yes, yes, yeah, they have
Lockheed?
Fridays off. What if you just got someone to come in, some people to rotate to come in from there to teach some skills or even to do some application because we know that there's value in teaching application skills to get to come in on Fridays. I think of the engagement and just the change of you may have a C day schedule on Fridays just to accommodate that. There are ways.
There are ways to get it done. But you know why we thought of these things? Because we're instructional leaders.
Yes.
So you can't, creativity comes from information, and we've downloaded so much information.
Yes.
So I don't fault anyone for not
Right.
coming up with these things. I'm just saying, feed yourself information, and then you'll learn to be creative. You can't be. It's like trying to go the way of osmosis, right? Because you have a title, you think it's just supposed to come. Like it doesn't work that way. You have to study, you have to download information. I'm still reading information and being a part of trainings and making sure that I stay relevant in this age, right?
Yes.
Because of what's happening, I'm still listening to the changes that my colleagues who are still in the system, the changes and challenges that they're sharing with me, and it helps me to study. So when you tell me, well, we have so many students, or we don't have enough teachers, so we're having to fill up an auditorium with students and use the like the teacher is the one certified teacher that you have is facilitating multiple sections of a particular content area, and the substitutes are just walking around. Well, guess what I would have done? First of all, I probably wouldn't have had them in the auditorium. That is a viable solution, though. I'm not knocking that.
Right.
I'm just saying I probably would have kept them in their classrooms, and I would have learned how to use the live feature for YouTube, the live feature for Zoom. I would have set up that teacher, set up their class. It would have been a mini mega church in there. You hear me?
Yes.
I'm talking about screens.
Right. Right.
I'm talking about you have money, you can buy these things, right? So
Yes.
deck it out, these are solutions people pay me to give them, by the way, that you all are getting for free.
Man, they're getting some good free stuff today.
Let's go.
Up today.
Yeah, but I would have. You have ESSER funding that's getting ready to run out. Like deck these classrooms. So like attendance issues, why? Why do you still have them? Unless they refuse to log in, because you could have set it up. Look, when I saw Bishop Jakes convert and change during the pandemic, and he had all these screens, he converted his backdrop to members who were tuning in. Like I guess it was Zoom, maybe is what he was using. So he sent out a link and you logged in, and you had to report by a certain time, I guess, so they can go over, I don't know what you can and can't do on here. I don't know. I never tuned in.
Oh my gosh.
No, I didn't go online like that. I mean, I went online on YouTube. I wasn't trying
Right.
to tune in to the real service like that.
Be
It was
live.
on YouTube. I didn't have to.
Right.
You didn't have to see my face on a square. So,
Right.
but anyway, so you had to log in, and he turned his backdrop into, like, you could see everybody. I think he increased the number of backdrops back there so he could have, like, everybody was on there.
Yes.
You could see everybody.
It's-
Well,
it-
we're in the age of technology.
yes. We can do that.
Honestly, you don't even need that many teachers. You need people who understand how to manage, like, classroom management.
Yes. Just think about it. And now, not only are you pouring into those kids, and I'm this person, you're pouring into that adult that's in there, because again, we have a teacher shortage. How do you know that just doing something like that may not inspire that person to say, you know what? I can do this. I'm gonna go ahead and get my certification, because I had someone do that. I did. I had a young lady tutoring on my campus, through age, she was there tutoring, and she started going to the PLCs, and she was like, wait a minute, I like math. And so she was picking it up. She was like, okay, so I can show them like this, do this, and this. Okay, so this is what you want me to do? She took it in there, and now she has certified. She is a teacher, has the top scores on her campus. In fact, I think the top scores in her district. She learned from the best. But I'm just saying, she was inspired by what she saw and what was modeled in front of her. And she was like, I can do that. And so there are so many ways. I'm just thinking, your creativity opens doors that you don't even realize. And if I was still there, or if that campus was still there, I would have hired her myself, because I knew she was trained well. And I knew that she would be able to provide the services that I needed her to provide. And I'm grateful that she's somewhere where she's being utilized. But I'm telling you, we just got to we have to use our resources. Thank you for tuning in to Educationally Rewired. We're so glad you could join us today. We hope you tune in next week, where we're talking about, so you're done with technology now? See you next week.